Welcome, everyone. I would like to introduce you to Rhonda Dickens. She's an outpatient psychotherapist. And Rhonda, one thing that I'm passionate about is for people to discover their authentic self, their identity, and also their unique contribution to the world. So how would you, as a psychotherapist, help someone discover their authentic self?
I absolutely love this question. And one of the reasons that I love this question is because that's what I want to do for all of my clients the moment that they walk in the door. And the way that I kind of go about doing that is, first off, I want to kind of compare who you are to your garden of life. And the way that I do that is, first, let's see all of the things that currently make up your garden, right? And when I say make up your garden, I mean make up who you are. Because some of those things may be weeds, and some of those things may need to be rooted out. Some of those things may be, bearing negative fruits, and they need to be pulled from the root. And so that's the first thing that I do is let's get out everything that does not identify and does not resonate with who you are as a person. Let's get those things out. A lot of people have difficulties because they hide behind emotional triggers. They hide behind trauma triggers. They hide behind these things, and these things keep them from being able to walk into authentically who they are, because it's so much easier to be who they have become. But that does not give them any peace. And so when you look at diagnoses, for example, trauma, PTSD, anxiety, these diagnoses are very much fear-based in different ways. With the PTSD, you're going to be more hypervigilant. It's because you've been victimized, and because you've been victimized, you are going to be a lot more hypervigilant about who comes into your life. Anxiety, that also is fear-based. I'm afraid of what's going to happen, what hasn't happened. I'm afraid of all of these things, but both of these things take away the value of being authentically who you are, right? Because if I am who I am not fearing about who I can become, what's going to happen, because I'm walking into my calling, and I'm walking into my authority, and I'm walking into what makes me me. And so one of the things that really helped me develop how to walk into authentically who I am was the core value index. That was something that really, really had me going down to the core values of what made Rhonda Rhonda. Because a lot of times what we do is we search for all of these outside things to make us who we are, but we don't understand. I'm going to go back to those gardens. We don't understand that who we are at the core, God has already implanted those things into our garden, and all we have to do is pick them up and use them when the time comes. And so when it comes down to who you are authentically, the first thing we have to do is get rid of the things that do not represent who you are. And then once you get rid of those things, it doesn't even have to be a replanning of who you are. It literally has to be an accessing of who you are, an accessing of those values, an accessing of all of those things that were covered by the emotional triggers, by the trauma triggers, by the life experiences that told you that you couldn't access what God implanted in you to be you. And so those are the things that I would say from both a mental health and a spiritual perspective to come into who you are authentically.
I love that, because in the natural, weeds will choke out the plants.
Absolutely.
And so those things that are fear-based cause us to become opposite of who we are.
Absolutely.
And so we're looking at our lives through a grid of weeds rather than the beautiful fruit that has the potential to be released in my life.
Right.
That is absolutely amazing.
And we don't understand the simple power of plucking that out, plucking out that negative thought, plucking out that self-defeating path that we're on, plucking out the way that that's having us to behave. If we understood the power of how easy it is to pluck that out and replant and reprogram something different, then we would really be walking into our authentic selves. A lot of times fear is keeping us from our destiny. Fear that we either can't or fear that we will, and what comes with if we do. So all of those fear-based things that are in our gardens, we are having to pluck out. Because if we keep those things there, we will never walk into authentically who we are.
And isn't it true for me? The one thing I hate to do is pull weeds.
Oh my goodness.
But when we pull them, the beauty
Uh-huh.
that's there when those weeds are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I never thought of it in that perspective. But boy, let's start weeding our gardens.
Definitely so.
Thank you for joining us.